Hello, everybody.
Welcome.
How y'all doing tonight? My name is Marcus Parks.
I'm Carolina Hidalgo.
And this is the No Dogs in Space live stream. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. We got a bunch of stuff planned. We're going to be doing some Q&A stuff. We're going to be doing a record haul because we made a good trip to Amoeba Records the other day.
We went with Ed Larson and Holden McNeely.
Yeah.
We'll tell you about them in a minute.
Yes, thanks to everybody who came over from Holden Stream, by the way.
Yes.
We're also going to be doing a book haul because Carolina got a bunch of sweet-ass books over at Amoeba.
That's all I do. I buy books at record stores. Why not?
Of course. And then we're going to be going through a haul of German videos because we're still deep into German music and getting deeper. Like we're starting, our tentacles are moving out into Schlager and German beat music, and we're going to be exploring some of that stuff. And then at the end, we're going to be going through the ethics and the wonder of AI music videos.
Well, that's a lot. No, seriously, that's a lot.
It's a ton of shit. But yeah, this is the type of shit we're going to be doing a stream, especially after the subathon. Don't forget to check out the subathon on July 28th.
We're doing a thing that Marcus...
29th, July 29th.
29th, that's Saturday from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. We're doing a thing, Marcus, I think I wasn't there for the meeting, but you decided for us we're going to do a separate the art from the artist segment that's going to last 45 fucking minutes. So I will be, I don't know, in a mask the whole time.
It is a very special separate the art from the artist, quite possibly the most difficult separate the art from the artist in history. So be sure to tune in for that because there will be a live musical performance by yours truly to truly prove that we can separate the art from this artist.
That's subjective. I just want you to know.
But of course, before we get into the show itself, why don't we give you guys a little bit of update on what's going on with us and why the hell it's taken so long for our Krautrock series to start.
It's always the same thing. It always is the same thing.
Well, but it used to be me. See, for me, it was for like a year, it was me that was sick, that I had my long COVID. And now, of course, now that my long COVID is starting to get better and I'm starting to record,
I'm sick. Okay, now I'm sick. I've been sick for like months now, and it sucks. It's a stomach thing. It's dumb. It's whatever. I can't smoke pot anymore. I can't drink anymore. Can't live life anymore. So I had to go get what's it called? A twofer?
We called it. It's an endoscopy, colonoscopy. Around the house, we like to refer to it as the spit roast maneuver.
I got double teamed. But you know, actually, they don't do it at the same time because I only have one doctor.
No.
By the way, just so you know, it's not those kinds of videos where you have two doctors. Okay.
No,
do it once and then they go and do the other one. Why are we talking about this?
No, it wasn't one of the Eiffel Tower documentaries that we all know so well. Yeah. So. Okay,
the first 8 minutes.
So during Carolina's procedure, I, of course, went and took her to get it done.
You were my ride.
I was your ride there, and I was your ride back.
And you were the holder of my coconut juice because I couldn't eat for 36 hours or have any liquids at all. If anyone's been through a procedure, you are very parched.
Yes.
So he's holding my coconut water the whole time.
I am the coconut water man. And as some of you may know, I suffer from chronic headaches in addition to everything else, and my plan was to sit there and read The Shining the entire time that she was under. By the way, I've been rereading it. It's fucking incredible.
That doesn't matter. I was under. There are lots of complications that could happen when you're under.
Yes. I realize that now. But there was a text that was sent to me that was a bit of a miscommunication where Carolina said, hey, it's the doctor's taking a while. Why don't you go out and get something to eat?
Like next door, you know, something like get a cup of coffee or a sandwich or something. Be back in like 15 minutes, tops.
I thought she meant go out and have an afternoon. Like just go out and just have some fun within reason, you know, within a 10-minute radius of the hospital. And I asked the nurse, I asked the receptionist.
You have to ask the nurse.
I asked the receptionist, hey, about how long is she going to be under for? Like, when can I be back? She's like, hour 45. She'll just be coming out of it. You'll be fine. You have plenty of time. So I'm like, all right, let's go to Google and type in record stores near me.
He went shopping while I was under.
I went browsing.
Literally shopping. He bought his records for himself.
I didn't just buy records for myself. I also bought one for you.
Which didn't make things better, by the way, because he was holding my coconut water.
Well, I went to
I woke up screaming your name.
Well, but there's also the matter of what happened when I went to the record store.
Okay.
I went to Nivesa Records. It's on Pico. It's in Los Angeles proper. They got some pretty solid stuff on the walls, although their racks are dusty as fuck. But they're very nice there. The guy did ask me. He's like, "Oh, I hear a bit of an accent," and I was like, "Yeah." He asked where I was from. I was like, "Oh, originally from Texas, but I just moved here from New York." He's like, "Hey, let me ask you, are New York City record stores like better than LA record stores?" And I had to say, "Yeah, I'm sorry, man, but they are."
You should have said, "My wife is under. I should really run to the hospital right now. What the hell am I doing here?"
But as I was looking, I saw a record that I knew Carolina would love. And I thought
almost made up for it, by the way. I was mad for a while.
I saw a record that I knew Carolina would love. But the thing is about it is that it was a collector record. It was a pricey record. So instead of just going in and looking back and rushing back to the hospital, I thought I had plenty of time. So what do? I pull out my Discogs app and I start looking and checking to make sure that this is a good deal.
He has ADHD, by the way. I just want you to know, he was just diagnosed this year.
I want to make sure that this is a fair deal. I want to make sure that it was the right pressing that they claimed that it was. And Eric, if we may go to the hall cam, it was. It absolutely was. It is a first pressing of the Beastie Boys' debut album. Look at that. How cool is that?
Yes, it's very, very cool.
How cool is that? I mean, you look, it's got the inside. Look at that. How cool is that? In Queens, no less. You're a Queens girl. You like Queens? Queens makes you feel better about things, right?
Absolutely. So I was alone when I woke up, and I was parched, and my ride wasn't there.
Parched?
So the nurse had to walk me outside with my fucking flip-flop things. And I was outside by myself but he handed me this record.
But look at that fan club. Look at that. It's got the fan club address, the original fan club address. It's super cool.
It is actually very cool.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you that. Once I calmed down, it was very, very cool.
Well, that's the thing is that I did bring it out because I did buy it for you, and I bought it for you to make you feel better after the procedure because you'd gone through a very rough time. But then you noticed, we can come back to regular cam, Eric. Then you noticed that I had bought some records for myself as well.
Yes, I know. That was the weird, interesting part of the whole thing. And by the way, I'm still sick. We don't know what's happening, but all we know is that it's not super dangerous and horrible.
It's not. It's not. We know that. Yeah, it's not. The big C. It's nothing horrible. It's just she's got a gastrointestinal issue, and if anybody has a mysterious gastrointestinal issue out there, email us at nodogsandSpace@gmail.com.
If you want to. You don't have to.
Hey, when I made a call for my long COVID stuff, people send in some really helpful stuff. So if you have a mysterious gastrointestinal issue where they do the colonoscopy and the endoscopy and they find nothing, and there's nothing in there, email us, nodogsandSpace@gmail.com.
So worth it. But what other records did you get?
I also got I got a Charles Mingus live album,
which is cool.
And I got a Todd Rundgren album that was like this die cut Todd Rundgren album that was super cool. The name of it escapes me right now, but it's the one that's got a bunch of really small songs. It's kind of experimental. It's very sweet. And I got a Corlett Pandit record. That's that record that I was listening to on Saturday that you said made the house sound like a haunted hotel.
Yes, I remember that one. That was scary.
Yeah, it's he's a guy from India he's in the Exotica section along with Ema Sumac and various Martin Denny records.
Oh, okay.
Quiet Village and all that. So I'm sorry. I'm very sorry.
Luckily, I don't have to do one for 10 years. But
and I'll never do it again.
Yeah, no, but it is kind of fitting that you get a call in the middle of a record store, be like, "Oh shit!" So
technically, I was already in the car on the way back because I was under the impression that I still had 45 minutes. And it was only a 10-minute drive away, and I was going to be back in the waiting room in 15 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and mark it down as honest mistake.
Okay, all right, we'll leave it at that.
Okay, we'll leave it at that.
Yeah, we'll leave it absolutely at that.
All right.
But we did get a good haul, though. I mean, we've gotten like some really good stuff.
Yeah.
But wait, should we go to the questions
Yeah,
first?
before we
Yes.
get to our record haul for this week, let's go to some questions. Okay, like from Skin the Whip, you got to fight for your right to leave your wife at the spit roast procedure.
Thank you. By the way, it's only one doctor, so they do it one end at a time. Trust me. I've been through it.
First question here is from Lo-Fi Lemonade 19. What's the highest elevation your Subaru has been? Were you doing anything fun there? And I would say the highest elevation the Subaru has been probably Vermont, which is where all Subarus
yeah.
are legally required to go to at least once during their ownership.
And we went and we enjoyed like the pastries. So that's how old we are. We went to Killington, Vermont, and it was really awesome.
It was wonderful.
Super awesome.
Yeah, they had some great sandwiches there. That was
We killed Hitler twice,
yes,
by the way.
with the board game Black Orchestra, which is incredible. It's a co-op
won.
game. We both won.
Oh, right, it's collab. But I feel like I really had something to do with it.
Yeah, I think
you
you
know?
did have a pretty big hand in killing Hitler. Yeah.
yeah.
Now, that was the trip when we pulled up to the waterfall to go do a little bit of hiking. And right next to us, the exact same make, model, color of Subaru pulled up, and two lesbians walked out, and we regarded each other.
And I was on mushrooms. So I didn't care.
We were both on mushrooms,
It was
so
so
it made
fun.
it made it a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And then the dog shat on the side of the road, but then there was no trash can, and we had to put it in the car, and it baked in the sun for a while. It was a fun trip to Vermont.
I hope that answered your question.
Next question. This is from Queer Kitsch. Not a question, but just wanted to stop by and say, as a historian, Marcus is like my research icon. I would actually like to somewhat correct you on that one. Carolina should be your research icon.
Oh, thank
Seriously,
you.
she is so
We can
much
share
better
it.
at it than I am. I'm all right. I'm pretty good. I'm good at the analysis, but Carolina is the historian here in this room. She's fucking fantastic. But it says, studying queer history means my pieces get shut down a lot, and it's a nice reminder that however weird my research is, there will be people out there who love and support it.
Absolutely.
So, yes.
Thank you
please-
for what you do, by the way.
Yeah, please keep doing your queer history. Please keep doing all the weird history subjects that you want. When we got into a little bit of like queer history during which series was it that we started getting a little bit into like the queer history of punk? I think it was when we were doing Max's Kansas City. The
Yes.
band like Max's Kansas City, we talked about it in our Suicide series. Like bands like The Fast or that song Boys Will Be Boys.
Oh, yeah.
Which is incredible. Yeah.
Yeah. Loud Fast Rules. I remember we were talking about that, and man, when was that?
That was for Suicide.
That was for Suicide?
Because we were talking about how, like, the difference between like, the biggest difference, at least as far as I could tell, between CBGB and Max's Kansas City was CBGB was a little homophobic, and Max's Kansas City was a queer haven.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know if CB's was yes, it was originally like a biker bar for the Hells Angels. Okay, so that might have been homophobic. But
Well, and it was
wasn't
also
really-
Handsome Dick Manitoba did his part too. As well.
Yeah, no, you're right. And Max's Kansas was more like it was actually more of a queer community, which was a lot more fun. And of course, the Andy Warhol, like their whole group were hanging out in the back. So yeah, I guess it was a little more glam.
Yeah.
A little more glam.
Much more glam.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, you had Jane County there, DJing back when Jane County was Wayne County and all,
Mm-hmm.
so on and so forth. But yeah, but there's plenty of it out there in punk history.
Absolutely. And Mothers. Forgot about Mothers. Mothers was a really cool spot to I don't remember. Yes, we were talking about it in Suicide. And I think when we talked about New York Dolls.
Yes.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Oh, fantastic.
Next question from Obelus EZ. Best albums of 2023 so far? I don't know.
I don't know either.
I can actually, let me check my Spotify. I can say one album, I talked about it on the last stream, was Black Braid. That black metal album is absolutely fantastic. I do have somewhat of a list on my Spotify that I put in like all my favorite, releases
Have
from
you
this
made
year.
them public yet?
I have not, because this is under my secret Spotify. I have my public Spotify, and I have a secret Spotify that nobody but Carolina knows about.
It's not. I mean, it's not so secret. It's just that you don't want everyone to know how much Ween you listen to.
I do have no shame at all about how much Ween I listen to. It just feels weird to be listening to like, music is a very private thing, and to have a private moment with a song, like when you just really need to connect with something, and the thought of 30,000 people all seeing that you are connecting with a song, it kind of takes a little bit of the emotion out of it.
Yeah, it is kind of embarrassing when like the one night I just randomly listen to ASMR and it just shows up on the top of my thing for a year and a half. It's like, that's not me, man. I mean, it's cool and stuff. I don't think it's that bad, but it's not me. Why is it at the top of my Spotify? Why does everyone know about it? Weird, right? Anyway, you don't have to ask a question about that.
Well, I can tell you some of my favorite albums from 2022. Because usually I do the cheat thing where like I start listening to albums for the first 3 months of the year, 4 months, and then I fall off on it because I get too busy, and then I wait until the year-end lists come out. I loved I Love You, Jennifer B by Jockstrap from last year. That album was fucking incredible and strange. Yard Act. I fucking love it. Yard Act, that album, on second listen, I didn't like as much, but 100% Endurance, that song is incredible. It has a video by David Thewlis, it's starring David Thewlis.
Yeah. That's really cool, actually.
So fucking,
I liked it.
The Big Thief album that came out, Black Country New Road, Wet Leg. Not a whole lot of surprises here, I suppose. Working Men's Club, that album was fucking amazing. Danger Mouse and Black Thought, Cheat Codes, that album was fucking great.
That's cool.
Yeah, so well, I'll get to you. Ask me what my favorite 2023 releases were in 2024.
Next year. And also definitely check out, they make Jeremy Shatton. Remember we talked about him in the Beastie Boys series. He grew up with the Beastie Boys with Mike D. I think they had their first band when they were like 12 years old. He has an amazing blog called An Earful. So An Earful. And check it out and subscribe to it because he has lists of the best of everything. And that's Jeremy Shatton. And it's like Shat and I'm not making a joke, but that's how just like you can, and subscribe to his thing because it's fantastic. I think he does a monthly podcast and he goes and checks out shows with his daughter. It's fantastic. So
that's great.
Yeah, definitely.
Next question. Speaking of Spotify playlists, can we get a Being Carolina playlist? I would love for you to make that.
I think I've made like 5.
Well, it was something that me and Henry and Ben did a while back where we did. It started with where it's songs that give the listeners an idea of like what's it like to be us.
Well, I have a summer jam one. Maybe I can make it public. It's got was it Tom Tom Club, Genius of Love? Because we're in the middle of summer. If you want to check out my summer one, The Tide is High by Blondie. That's the joint, Funky Plus One. Spanish Stroll by Mink DeVille.
Perfect.
Yes. Blue Monday, New Order. Of course.
Huh. I never thought of that as a summer song.
It's an everything song. It's a Christmas song, too, if you want it to be. A Little Respect by Erasure, because it's just such a singable song.
Yeah.
It is.
How does it go again? Can you sing it for me?
No. I can't. My voice is almost... There was a tube that went down my throat the other day. I can barely talk. Queen Bitch by David Bowie. And Just a Friend, Biz Markie. I think this summer jam, it's like an everything.
I think it is. Yeah. But yeah, you should make that public. But I'm gonna encourage you to make a Being Carolina playlist.
Okay, I will. Absolutely.
It's really fun. Mine ended up being 12 hours long.
Of course it was. Of course it was.
And I took that down from 15 hours long.
Aww.
Oh, this question is actually very, this one is actually very relevant to what we're doing next. A Forest is My Home asks, are you guys planning on covering any weird ambient bands with your experimental run? I think I heard Brian Eno, which I can't wait to hear all about.
Yes. Like so much so. You have no idea. That's all of my playlists right now.
Yeah.
Yes, we are doing a whole, as we talked about, we're still in the middle. We had to take 2-week break, but we're still in the middle of doing the Jamatzes. It's not Krautrock. Jamatzes, German experimental music of the 60s and 70s. And we're going to start with Amon Düül 2, of course. And then we're going to work our way Can, Faust, Kraftwerk, and then David Bowie, the Berlin era. And then, of course, we're we're gonna end with Brian Eno.
Yeah.
And so we're gonna kind of show that that evolution. It's gonna be really cool.
Yeah, and of course, in covering all that, like it's Cluster that's going to be the big, that's what's going to bring us into. If you've never listened to Cluster with a C or with a K, and what was the other band that they turned into?
Oh, Harmonia.
Harmonia. Yeah, Harmonia, Cluster, both with a C and a K.
I'm glad they didn't go with a Q route or whatever.
Cluster.
And then their cat was in it too. It's almost like Dead Kennedys and Norm the cat who co-produced their album.
Yeah. And someone also asked the question, who is the best Texas songwriter and why is it Townes Van Zandt? Yes, it is Townes Van Zandt, but I also recommend checking out Guy Clark. Do not sleep on Guy Clark. Steve Earle's also wonderful.
I love Steve Earle.
Yeah.
Because of you. I didn't know anything about country music other than Johnny Cash and Tanya Tucker, and because of a T-shirt I wore at college. But I didn't know anything else until you. And then you actually made it very cool for me. Like, you just curated it beautifully. Like, Marcus has the best taste in the world. Like, honestly, it's impeccable.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we do eventually want to do a country series. Like, we wanted, for me, like Willie Nelson is the guy.
Yes. I want to do Johnny Cash.
I'd love to do like Johnny Cash and Willie Nelson. But Johnny Cash, because these two guys really, like, everyone, as far as Willie Nelson goes, everyone is related to Willie Nelson in some way or another. Like, he's just he's kind of like David Bowie. Like, I would actually say Willie Nelson is the David Bowie of country music.
I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah, because he just goes on forever. All of his stuff is great. He continues to evolve and change, and he's worked or is related to everybody at one point in history or another.
I once shook his hand. I know I've said this a couple times, maybe once or twice. Once met Willie Nelson at SiriusXM when I was doing SiriusXM, and they were soft.
Of course they're soft.
Soft hands.
Of course Willie Nelson has the soft. Every guitarist that you'll meet has the soft. I tried shaking Les Claypool's hand once, and he wouldn't do it.
That's even better. That's a better story.
Yeah, but he was polite about it. This one is, I know you got some opinions on this one from Kelly Jean 64. Carolina, have you ever started to read a book as a source just to realize it was trash? How many have you done that with?
It happens at least once a series. It happens quite a bit, actually, where I start reading it and I'm just like, no, this is terrible. A lot of times I will and it's not always self-published books, by the way.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're actually very published books. And I know I told you about this recently, where when I have a source and I go into the book, I like to go and check out the author, literally check out the author. I'll go see an interview that they do on the book or something. Yeah. And then I'll just kind of see how they are. They're humble, or they're cool, or they're knowledgeable, or if they're total jerks. And I don't want to shit talk on anyone, except I will.
Yeah. I think this one is deserved.
Which one? The Patricia Morrison one? Oh yeah. So I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't
she has to be dead. She has to be dead.
No, she's not. She's not at all. Anyway, she wrote a book on Robert Mapplethorpe, and I read it, and it was not good. And so I actually didn't use it.
No.
I actually just used a documentary, an HBO documentary instead. And what I usually do is I just purposely just leave out that book, because I read all the books on that topic, every single one, or at least I try to finish them. And then there are times where I'm just like, this is just not good. And so I don't want to be a jerk about it, because I've never written a book. What the hell do I know? But I still kind of, you get a good feeling about it, I guess. And then when someone kind of seems not humble, then you kind of just, yeah.
She died in 2021.
Oh, well, fuck you. No, God, I'm sorry. Rest in peace. Rest in peace.
Never speak ill of the dead.
I won't. I will not. But, now thanks for putting me on the spot, Kelly Jean 64. No, but it does happen. It does happen quite a bit.
Yeah.
Where there's just a book that we just don't use. Either it's because it's redundant and there's nothing new that we can find from that, or the author just simply is kind of like out of it, and it won't help us in any way.
Well,
that's fine.
A lot of authors tend to play fast and loose. I mean, it's actually, you can compare rock journalism to true crime journalism quite a bit, because back in the day, true crime journalism was really loose and fast with the facts, and they put out the books as fast as they possibly could. And early rock journalism, a lot of rock journalism is the same way. Like, a lot of rock journalists printed legend as fact again and again and again. I think the best example is Hammer of the Gods, the Led Zeppelin book, which is supposed to be like 90% fiction.
But what a story,
What
right?
a story.
What a story. Who cares? I mean, the Beastie Boys read it, and they like kind of wrapped their whole act on that when they did with the License to Ill.
Yeah.
By the way, speaking of License to Ill, I know.
Well, let's take one final question before we get to our vinyl haul, and then we'll get to some questions later.
We'll do some more questions later, yeah.
Of course.
I love these questions. You guys are doing great.
These are so great. This is so much
How
fun.
are we doing?
From Crummy Zero, first favorite song / album as a kid.
It's probably something by Queen. What about you?
My first favorite song when I was a kid was Old Time Rock and Roll by Bob Seger.
That's good.
Yeah.
I remember you telling me that. Well, isn't that your baby song, though?
My baby song?
Okay, so there's a baby song. I call it a baby song, where it's like when you're a kid or a baby, and there's a song just kind of riles you up.
Yeah.
And it just gets you going no matter what. And it's just like every time you hear it, you can hear it a million times, and your parents put it on, you go crazy. Mine was Conga by Gloria Estefan. Okay, we're Hispanic.
Do that Congo, that one?
Yeah,
I think
part of a compilation album, really.
I think we both just displayed our cultural backgrounds about as hard as we possibly could.
It couldn't be any harder than that. Not more harder than two doctors going at me at once. I'm sorry, what?
But my parents actually, after a while, they hid their Bob Seger record, because I would go and I would find it, and I would pull out the vinyl record. I'd be like, old time rock and roll, old time rock and roll, and they like have to put it on. And I think at one point my dad like purposefully scratched it so he wouldn't have to hear it again.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was. My parents had a pretty good. They had a pretty good record collection when I was a kid.
Eric, can we cue that up for the next stream? We're gonna cue up some old time rock and roll. We'll see what happens.
Just like that old time rock and roll. I like that music that soothes the soul.
I still know that song from when I was a child.
I love it.
All right.
Love it.
Well, let's get to our vinyl haul for this week.
Yeah, we got quite a haul. As we said earlier, that we went to Amoeba Records one Saturday with Holden McNeely from Wizard and Bruiser and Eddie Larson from Brighter Side. And it was a really fun Saturday afternoon. Actually, we had a really great time. I remember Eddie, he picked up Cactus by Cactus.
Yeah.
And then Rocky Erickson it's a compilation, May the Circle Remain Unbroken, a tribute to Rocky Erickson, which we're gonna do.
I'm a massive Rocky Erickson fan. Yeah, we're gonna do 13th Floor Elevators, and we're gonna, and of course that includes like Rocky Erickson's solo stuff, because we can't not talk about his solo stuff, because his solo stuff is better than the 13th Floor Elevators.
Well, we're gonna do it kind of how we did like Iggy Pop and Lou Reed. It's like, well, we'll focus on the band, but of course we're gonna keep going.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. And Holden, I believe, got his dad card when he got Steely Dan's Aja. Which good for him. Good for him.
Good for him. But I think he put off buying a Steely Dan album for as long as he possibly could. But Little Girl's Turning 2. There's no escaping it now.
It's time.
I think he got, what is it? The black, was it XTC? The pink, black pink?
Oh, I don't. Oh,
Charlie XTC?
Are you? Oh, yeah, Charlie XCII Roman numeral or something.
Yeah. XCX. He picked up that one too, because Holden's a pop guy.
I'm still learning my pop. Holden McNeely, he actually made me a really cool, if you guys check out his stream, of course you do, he made me a really cool pop kind of playlist that I listen to while I do my daily walk.
Yeah.
So Blackpink is fucking jam, by the way.
Yeah, and we gotta have
Black or Blackpink. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, we gotta have Holden on sometime so I can ask him when he started listening to pop, because the first 10 years we were friends, I never heard him listening to pop. But for some reason he had a renaissance, and we gotta have him on to ask him about it.
He's leaning into it.
He's leaning into it hard. Yeah, when we were in the Cowmen together, we were in a country punk band together. He was the lead singer for 10 years, and now all he listens to is pop. It's an interesting road that man walks.
Yes,
Very interesting road.
He is evolved into many a flower. we love him now. He's family.
We love him. Well, the record that you got, we didn't bring. I wish we would have brought it, but you got this really cool record of Tibetan chants.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, because I wanted to be as, I don't know, hipstery as possible. No, it just seemed really cool. And I like random noises, like as for my records.
Yeah, and that's why, that's the fun noises with the boys and the girls.
Oh,
yeah.
thank you. That's fun.
Yeah, because we're getting to be big Karl-Heinz Stockhausen fans because of the German research and all that, like experimental electronic music. It's just noises.
John Cage, our favorite song. Where did we park? Do you remember?
I don't know. I
Did it start yet?
I don't know if it has, but let's just leave early so we can beat traffic.
That's our favorite song.
It's a wonderful song.
Eric Satie, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
I believe so.
Well, let's start with My Vinyl Haul. I brought one. My Vinyl Haul is I only brought one record from our trip to Amoeba. All the rest of them are Discogs. What do you call it? Discogs purchases.
You just order them on Discogs.
I order on Discogs. Yeah,
in the mail.
I couldn't go to record stores for a really long time because of the long COVID. So I got a bit of a Discogs addiction.
Yeah, because it's kind of hard for him to carry it. So now it's just so much easier when the mailman just comes and drops it off.
Yeah,
I get it. I know you rather hunt than be fed, but we do what we can.
We do what we can. Yeah, I actually got quite comfortable in captivity. But the best one that I got, my favorite one that I got from Amoeba the other day is.
Oh, this one's really good. This one's really good.
Out of the plastic, Psychedelic Shack by the Temptations. This album is absolutely incredible. If you've never heard it, I know we played one song on our Stooges series. We played "You Make Your Own Heaven and Hell Right on Earth," but this is the Temptations. The Temptations. This is My Girl Temptations.
The real ones.
Yeah. By the time this album came out, though. This was the third iteration of the Temptations.
Okay, so kind of not the real ones.
There was, I think, 2 members of the Temptations still in the band.
Why are they in a house from The Good Place?
Well, this is the psychedelic. They took Psychedelic Shack very literally with the album art, but the idea was the Psychedelic Shack was a place that people could come to in the neighborhood to do drugs, talk about stuff, get psychedelic, and find new ways of thinking.
Oh, just like North Hollywood, where we live.
Yes. So this album, I think this is right before Eddie Kendrick left, or either right before or right after Eddie Kendrick left, who also had a wonderful solo career. He's got this song called He's a Friend of Mine that's one of my favorite soul songs ever. But the best thing about this album, besides, before I get to the best thing on this album, the song that is going to be your summer song is It's Summer. Here, where is it? Here on the back. Let's check it out. It's Summer, side 2, track 1. That song is absolutely beautiful.
So get in the bush, right? Get inside that bush, and then we'll pose for a photo. Sorry, the photo's gone.
We get to listen to It's Summer, but right after It's Summer, if we go back to the War.
They're in the bush, yeah.
Yeah, they're in the bush. This is War. This is the original version of War. War, what is it good for? That was written by the Temptations.
I love that song. Sorry, I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, not at all. War. This is the album that War was written for. But Motown would not release War as a single because they thought it was too controversial. Which is why a couple of years later, Edwin Starr released his version, like 1971, 1972, when people were really tired of the Vietnam War. When this album was released, they were still somewhat tolerating it in certain sectors. So they were afraid of losing record sales. But then, of course, Edwin Starr released, "Whoa, good God, y'all, what is it?" So on and so forth. But after that, the song became a massive hit. But the Temptations version of War is much more military. Like they do a hup, 2, 3, 4, hup, 2, 3, 4. It's a fucking wonderful, wonderful version.
So cool.
So yes, absolutely check out Psychedelic Shack.
I love it. I love it. What else did you get?
What else did I get? All right, let me put this over here. Yes, because I don't have time to repackage every single one because I got a way of doing it.
No, we got so many records to go through actually because it was a really good haul. You have no idea, like it was so heavy. I think we asked Ed to carry our stuff to the car.
This one right here, this was a Discogs purchase. This is a very rare pressing of Fresh Fruit for Rotting Vegetables. This is the orange cover. This right here, this is the one that pissed off Jello Biafra real fucking bad.
I know, because I also want a creepsicle. But it's really about the White Night Riots. The White Riots.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's about, of course, we talked about it in the Dead Kennedys series.
Yeah. What this album, the reason why it's orange is because when Fresh Fruit for Rotting Vegetables was first released, it was first released by Cherry Red in the UK. When it was released in the United States, it was released by Miles Copeland's IRS Records.
Well, by Faulty Records, because remember, it was distributed by A&M, and one of Jerry Moss, the M from A&M.
Right.
He did not want anything to do with it because that he knew the Kennedys personally, and then he hated the Dead Kennedys. He hated everything about Dead Kennedys. So IRS distributed through another company called Faulty Records, which Faulty Products, ironically, was faulty and went under a few years later.
Exactly. But this was, IRS made the decision to make this record orange because they thought that the original black, wouldn't show up in record stores as well. But the cool thing about this is that since this is the first United States pressing, on the back, all the heads are still on all the members of the Sunshine Band because there was
Sounds of Sunshine.
The Sounds of Sunshine, because there was a lawsuit about this picture right here.
So they were a Christian band and they sued for $1 million. they all spat out their coffee when they found out about this, right? They sued the company for $1 million. And so what happened is that in the end, like I think you do have that record. So in the end, they started reprinting the album with taking their heads off because it's like, well, now you don't know who they are.
Well, I've also have this other copy. I've had this for years. Side B, Scratch to Shit. This is
Yes.
this right here is the Cherry Red repress. This is the 1981 repress. And if you'll see on the back, no heads.
That way you can't recognize them. Who are they? Obviously not the Sounds of Sunshine.
Obviously not. But the coolest thing that came with this orange one right here is the poster. The famous poster that came along with this record. Winston Smith, right?
Yeah, Winston Smith. He was very much like
Did that right
influenced
there.
by like Dada artwork from World War I. He loved collage work, of course. He cut from newspapers and magazines. That was a big thing. Taking images from like different sources, out of context. And of course, this is a very punk aesthetic, as we know. I feel like we're doing a parade or something, like we're hosts.
And that's Winston Smith. Winston Smith has been doing graphic design since the 1970s.
But I mean, remember we talked about him where he used to do his own posters before he met Jello Biafra, and he used to do them like just made up shows. Like he would make up shows just so he can showcase his artwork at record stores, at venues and stuff. Like I remember he had the what bands? He had the Cooties.
Mm-hmm.
I have some here. He had the Dipshits, Spitwads, Lenny and the Spitwads,
Mm-hmm.
and I love this. Live at Nico's, and then people would show up and try to see a band called Idiot Child that he made up. But this is all Winston Smith, also in collaboration with Jello Biafra.
If you want to see the most 1980s punk thing in the fucking world, it's that right there. I'll lead you astray. And you'll like it. And just
Vote for me.
Vote for Jello.
Oh, look at that John Travolta thing right there. Wow.
Coping with toxic waste. I mean, it's just the coolest fuck. I mean, that's the thing. It's too big to actually show the full thing. Winnebago. There's all these fun references to the songs, like all throughout. And look, Billy Beer.
I don't know what that is.
Billy Beer was the beer put out by Jimmy Carter's brother, Billy.
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Sorry, I'm not from here.
Billy Carter was a famous drunk, loved beer, and he was considered the biggest embarrassment to an American president until Roger Clinton.
I thought you were going to say Bush and the Iraq War,
No.
and then Trump,
Well,
and then the rest of America.
Well, you can see where it went because it started with like, oh, my brother, he drinks a little bit too much, to where we are today.
Oh, wonderful. That's great.
And then finally, the last one is an original pressing of Plastic Surgery Disasters.
Yes. This is my favorite one.
Yeah.
And yes, of course, that is a cover. It's one of those Jello Biafra things where, like, we need to display the horrors of just famine.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah,
'Cause that
yeah.
is a real hand of a child.
It really is. And this one comes with another Winston artwork, but this one is a full book. This is so fucking cool.
It looks like a comic book.
Yeah. And it's just a full book of just all of his collage work that I am very happy to have.
That is awesome.
It's very cool.
Yeah, I love it.
But that is the vinyl run for this week. Of course, we'll be
That's
back
so
with more
cool.
vinyl runs in the future because we have an addiction.
We means Marcus.
I have an addiction.
Although I did buy some books, though. 'Cause
You did?
I always beeline straight for the books constantly. I go through every single title of every book, and I found a really, really cool find for only $30. $30 fucking dollars for this. Like, check it out. This is Lillian Roxon's Rock Encyclopedia. I feel like we're trying to sell like spoons on TV.
We only have 3 of these left. So if you call now, then you can get not only Lillian Roxon's Rock Encyclopedia, you can get the Dead Kennedys classic, Plastic Surgery Disasters, for just $10 more. And if you call within the next 5 minutes, you can also get this wonderful book on obscure music research. Don't sit on this, ladies and gentlemen. These things are moving fast.
Okay, can I have the book? This book is great. This book is awesome. Lillian Roxon was pretty much the first journalist to the first female journalist to actually take rock and roll seriously. She was a champion of Lenny Kaye when he first started his music journalist career and everything. It was fantastic. I think her family were Ukrainian, so Slava Ukraine, born in Italy and raised in Australia, and eventually made it to New York, where she became friends with like Lou Reed and David Bowie and all them, and Lenny Kaye and Patti Smith and all them. And she unfortunately passed away when she was like 41, which is fairly young. But she, like, her biggest triumph is this Rock Encyclopedia. Like, you can open up to any, it was published in 1969, so you can open up to anything before 1969. And I actually wanted to read a fun passage because this one's one of our favorites. I mean, she's not necessarily our favorite character, but she's our most interesting character.
She's a very interesting character, and we adore Nico. We adore her music. She may have made some off-color comments here and there.
She's not an all right person, but
yeah, she may have given heroin to her child, but you know.
Why do we like her again?
Fairest to the seasons.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Here we go. Nico. So these are all like really interesting entries that she has on every single person. So originally an Andy Warhol superstar, that is one of the repertory company. How do I read? Of strolling players that people, that player. Shit.
No, that's, I mean, the one
strolling
of the
players that people his films.
People his films. Okay, she's using people as a verb.
Very nice. You see, she's a great writer. Nico moved into the world of music when Warhol did. And when he got himself a group, the Velvet Underground, she became its singer. Eventually, she went solo, accompanying herself with a small portable organ. We talked about this in the Velvet Underground series.
Yeah.
And at Steve Paul's The Scene, she was billed as the Moon Goddess.
Wow, I didn't know that.
And she does have an air of tall, pale mystery, partially justifying that name. Only recently, though, she has revealed a not-so-pale gift for songwriting, and her new album features all her own songs sung in a deep, flat moon goddess voice with suitable liturgic instrumentation by Velvet Underground's John Cale, which is very cool.
So I guess that's right after Marble Index then.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, the Marble Index came out September 1968. And it's just really interesting. Like anything. Like this is $30.
That's crazy.
I looked at it online. It's like worth like $300.
Wow.
So you just go to a record store and you just go through every single little thing. Go underneath. Go like put on a mask if you have to, because it'll get dusty. You just go anywhere and you'll find these like really cool, really rare books, which I love. Speaking of really cool, really rare books,
This one's great.
this is so cool. Put it in the thing. Okay, V. Vale. We talked about Vale before. So he is he's a friend of Jello Biafra's, of course, and a friend of our friend from the Screamers, Jack.
Yeah.
Rabbit.
Jack Rabbit.
Jack Rabbit. So, okay, so he does these research books, right? And he does them, of course, with other people. And Incredibly Strange Films, what we have. And then he made Incredibly Strange Music, which is fantastic. So, Incredibly Strange Music, this is a book that you can find. You could probably go on the research website, and you can even get a t-shirt or whatever if you want. But you can get these books, and they kind of like it's just like a bunch of everything. Like they have interviews by record collectors, by Eartha Kitt interview, which was like crazy and really fun.
Wow.
Yeah, and then they had like this 20-page interview by the Cramps, like Lux Interior and Poison Ivy, and like they just talked about like how they met and all the cute things, and like and how they learned about records. They learned about record collecting by moving to Ohio. Because Ohio, there were so many industries, because it was like the rubber industry was there. So there were a bunch of people coming from all like all walks of life, like white people, black people, Hispanic people, and they're all coming in there and they're bringing in their records, they're selling their records. So you go to these record stores and you get stuff from everywhere. And that's kind of how they learned about all this, which is really cool. Like it's like 20 pages. You should check out like the research books, like definitely.
Yeah, I've actually got a record that is one of Lux's radio shows that he did, like I think in the mid 90s or something like that. And it's not just rockabilly; it's all kinds of weird shit from his personal record collection.
Oh
it's
my
very
God.
cool.
Yes, and we'll talk about it too. And also there was Norton Records. There was an interview with Miriam Lena, which we talked about in the Cramps series. Miriam Lena was the Cramps' first real like drummer. Remember, she was the greatest drummer in the world. As you remember, Tommy Ramone taught her a lesson or two.
Yeah.
Remember, she was so great, even though she never played any drums ever or ever held sticks, and she didn't even know how to hold the sticks. But it didn't matter because she was the greatest drummer in the whole world. And she met her husband, Billy Miller. She met her husband, and then they started Norton Records, which is a small record company where they met and released records from Hazel Atkins, which is so cool.
Let's check out some Hazel Atkins. For those of you who are not familiar with this absolute American genius. Eric, if we could.
Yeah, baby. Well, I'm going to tell you what happened.
I got a feeling this is Art Fine's poker
I got
party.
hitched off.
I figured it was in the Norton Records offices. No, this is Rhino Records.
He jumped up out of the bed, pulled his hair down his eyes. Looked at me like a dying cannon that come on your meat. His head. His head. So this time we went way up here. We got all along. Thing would sound like this.
So he's a one-man band.
Yeah.
That's basically what it is.
Oh yeah. All right. Cool. That's it, man. But yeah, he's absolutely like I love one-man bands.
Because, the fun story about it, and definitely check out the documentary. This is an awesome documentary just on YouTube, Hazel Atkins documentary. Just Google that, you'll find it. And it's pretty much because when he was really big into Hank Williams and, mostly Hank Williams, he thought that he played like every single instrument on the guitar and piano and drums or whatever. So he thought, okay, I need to learn everything and play it all at once. He didn't realize that there were like multiple people doing this. And then by the time he said this, by the time I figured out that there were other people playing with him, it was too late. I was already playing all the fucking instruments, which is amazing.
There's this amazing one-man band compilation you should look up. It's called Attack of the One-Man Bands. It's got this one song, I Know I'm Gonna Die Tonight, but I Don't Care. That's one of my favorites.
I love it. And Hazel, I mean, he's just such a character. And so Norton Records, they released some records by him because when they met him, they're like, we need to work with you. My God, we need to work with you. So just so you know, Hazel, it rhymes with basil, right? Like Hayes.
Yeah.
Hazel Atkins. And that's also his brother's name because he's from West Virginia and he's 1 out of 9 kids.
Oh, man, West Virginia. I'm doing a thing on Last Podcast on West Virginia this week. It's good to know something else came out of West Virginia besides, well, the thing we're working on.
So in the interview, when they're like, tell us a little bit about Hazel, right? And he's like, okay, well, he eats more meat than any other human being we've ever met. He carries around Vienna sausages in his pocket. And then he goes, they ask him, what would you like for lunch?
Meat.
Any special kind? No, meat.
Meat.
I love this. And then he'll go to a restaurant, he'll order 3 separate hamburger platters and just eat the patties and say, hey, Billy, you want some french fries? He just eats meat and also about 30 cups of coffee a day. He has an endless supply of girlfriends, by the way. Girls are always chasing him, fighting over him. He's a really popular guy in that respect, but also a really sensitive guy.
Of course.
Very sensitive.
Yeah. What was the song that he wrote where he chopped off the girl's head? No more hot dogs?
No more hot dogs.
Because he just didn't want any more hot dogs. But then that doesn't make sense because he loves meat so much. But I think hot dogs is at the bottom rung of meat.
So anyway, pick up books. Every time you go to a record store, pick up books because you're gonna find some really cool shit. And this is just one of the things I found on this. We don't even have time because we're running out of time. But honestly, like anytime you go to a record store, especially one that's like kind of obscure, kind of small, and all the books are really dusty and gross, just put on some gloves, put on a mask, and get in there. And I will keep bringing more stuff because I've found some really cool shit along the way, though. Yeah. But we should put on some videos. Though.
We should put on some videos.
Yeah.
So in our research on, krautrock, Jamatzis, whatever, in order to really understand like krautrock and where it came from, like we've really discovered you have to understand where German music was at the time when all these guys were starting these bands, when they were starting Can and Neu and Kraftwerk and Amon Düül 2 and all that stuff. And it's not that German music, all of it was awful. It wasn't. Like, I mean, the Schlager stuff, it was what it was. We'll get into Schlager is
it's like pop music.
Yeah, it's like
time.
German poppy music. It's like, I don't know, it's pop music, but not pop
in
music.
The night.
It's
that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's very strange. But the other side of German music was imitating American and British rock groups. And a lot of times, it's just a regular beat band. Hey, that band sounds like the Beatles. Hey, that band sounds like the Rolling Stones. But then every once in a while, you got a band that really tried to get into the soul space. So it's Germans trying to do soul. Germans, but of course, they do okay with it, but it ends up being more of an impression than an interpretation. But I think with this one truly is an interpretation. This is Joy and the Hit Kids. This is on a show called Beat Club that ran from like 1968 to 1972. I got a couple of DVDs from performances from this. All kinds, everyone that you can think of.
But it's on YouTube if you want to check it out.
Yeah, it's
and
all
the
on
Monks
YouTube.
are on YouTube.
Yeah,
they're on the Beat Club.
Well, that's how I found it, because the Monks, most of the Monks' performances on TV, 2 out of the 4 were on Beat Club. But this is Joy and the Hit Kids doing a cover of Soulfinger that I love, with the lead singer doing her own vocalizations. This is fucking great. But yeah, that's Joy and the Hit Kids. And she does a version of Respect that is competent. It's a very nice...
Competence. What are you, Simon Cowell? I'm sorry my references are 20 years old, by the way.
Well, it's an impression. It's an impression, but it's a very good impression of Aretha Franklin. But in getting into all these bands, it's like that's what happened before krautrock. Jamatzis, yes. But what I'm also getting into is the solo stuff of some of the bands, like solo stuff from members of the bands that we're covering. Like, of course, we're going to be covering Can, but I've been getting really into the solo work of Holger Juke, who was one of the co-founders of Can. Specifically, his first single after leaving Can, Cool in the Pool.
By the way, that's not Trace Bellew from Mystery Science Theater 3000.
God, he does look. I didn't notice until now. He looks exactly like him.
Dr. Forrester?
Holger? Hey, Holger?
Oh, is it hot? Wow. Then let's get cool in the pool. Oh, let's get cool.
He is my favorite 36-year-old ever, by the way.
No, this is. You're talking about your summer jams. This is my summer jam this year.
It really has been. He's been singing it with an accent, which I think is okay because it's German. I love this because he probably did this in his bedroom over a weekend. And they just said, okay, let's just release this.
It's one take. Ooh, together.
I could see his mom pressing record for him.
And that's the great thing about it is that it's pop, but it's still got this weird
Magician thing. Oh, sorry.
Well, it's like what it is. It's Karl-Heinz Stockhausen it's pop by way of Karl-Heinz Stockhausen, you know?
I love it. I think this is great.
Yeah, and it's got French horn too. How many songs have French horn?
This is the kind of guy I would be rooting for at the Ramadan Inn after dinner.
And his other stuff is like, this was a single that he released, but I've also been getting an album called Der Osten ist rot. The East is red, you know.
Right.
What was going on at the time. But the photo song is amazing. But yeah, I've been really loving this song in particular. Put this on your Summer Jam playlist.
This is more immersive than any Jim Jarmusch movie I've ever seen. And I'm not complaining this time.
Oh man, we're here at the end.
Yeah, but do you want to should we watch a couple more of your videos? Should we go over like 2 minutes?
Yeah,
let's go
over. Yeah, let's go over.
You guys have anything to do?
Yeah, no, it's let's go over. There's a couple more videos that we wanted to play. I've been really
I like it.
Getting into this AI shit. Like I know that it's whatever. I know it's problematic. I know AI is problematic. I know this is the fun times because I know like right now we're in the time like remember when social media was really fun and cool and before it destroyed the entire world and before it became like, you know, one of the most harmful thing in the world besides nuclear weapons. That's where we're at with AI right now. And what people are doing with music in AI is they are taking the voices of famous musical artists and they're making them do things that they never would have done. And they're making them do horrible things. So let's start with a version of Barbie Girl sung by Johnny Cash.
Hello, I'm not Johnny
I
Cash.
actually do like this. It's hard.
Incredible.
I'm a Barbie girl in a Barbie world. Life in plastic, it's fantastic. You can brush my hair, undress me everywhere.
See, I feel like it takes on a different meaning.
Oh,
And that's why I like
Barbie,
it.
Let's go party, 'cause I'm in a Barbie world.
That's what I'm going to prove on
If you wanna be
screen.
my lover, you gotta get with my friend. Make it last forever. Friendship never ends. I put my hands up to playing my song. The butterflies fly away.
Yeah, really lends itself to it.
Yeah. It's a party in the USA.
Okay.
All right, now that's So
First of all, what a talent. What a talent.
Well, apparently the guy, I think it's called Yep, I Ruined It or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. But I love the idea of Barbie shooting a guy in Reno just to watch him die.
And I agree with Zek890 when he says AI should only be used for shit posting.
I agree.
I agree with that 1,000%. And I think the last video we're going to play, I think, is the definition of that. It is Elvis Presley singing, well, let's just go for it. There, I ruined it. That's what it's called.
Oh, well, I take plots and I cannot lie. You are the brothers I can't deny. It's
Perfect.
that when a girl walks in with an itty bitty waist and a round thing in your face, you
Is
get
that produced by
sprung.
Rick Rubin?
When
Big
you
Bucks,
get
the original.
sprung.
Really?
Yeah.
Deep in the jeans she's wearing, I looked and I can't stop staring. Baby got back.
It made me right.
My anaconda don't want none unless she got the buns high. I'm begging for a piece of that bubble, so go and find that juicy
This is like the
bubble.
Colin
You
kiss.
get sprung.
I know it really is.
Oh,
The Collins
you get sprung. I don't want no other but now, baby, it's just yours I'm thinking of.
Yes, Mr. Defo 41 times 9. He did cover a lot of black artists. And look at him stealing another one. You're right. And we're just enablers. We should end the show now. But we'll come back. We'll come back with the subathon, July 29th, Saturday from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. I think we're on one of the earlier schedules, so please just like come in because you're going to be there really, really early anyways.
Yeah, I'm
And
opening.
And I'm dancing in like a bikini thing, doing like a grind thing, which is, I don't know. I'm going to practice in front of the mirror before I do that. But it's going to be really fun. Please check it out. July 29th, Last Podcast Network, where you are now is where we're going to be.
Yeah, we're gonna be. Yeah, I think we're at 12:30, somewhere around there. Maybe
Something like
12:30,
that.
1:30.
But show up at
midday.
10 and
Show
then,
up.
yeah.
Show up at 10 for the synth introduction.
He's gonna do some weird fucking yeah, exactly.
I've
some
been
some
working.
David Lynch stuff.
I've
And
been
then-
working on some shit, y'all.
And I'm gonna be dancing, and then we're gonna do a no dogs thing. It's gonna be really fun. I'm
It's
really
gonna be
excited.
wonderful. Yeah, I can't wait either. All right, everybody. Thank y'all so much for tuning in tonight, and we shall see you next time.
Goodbye.
Bye.